Hey, it's EQ. I'm on my Ranger again now, and I'm just doing some chilling and killing on him. For anybody not in the know about Rangers, there's a skill called Headshot that is really good for killing humanoid trash mobs. They pretty much have to be trash mobs, though, because they have to be one level below you. Although if you're over leveled for the area, it's a situation where you might run into a rare mob, but the gear it drops might be okay to sell, but you're not going to be able to use any of it. For me, it's always been very hard to try to solo rare mobs in era or in at the top of the food chain kind of a thing. Not impossible. It's very you can be very picky. They have too many abilities that makes things messy. You're pretty much done for usually. There is an exception if it's just a pure tank and spank and they have a lot of hit points. Even if they hit hard, a lot of times you have enough ways to mitigate that enough that there we go. That it is not a problem so much. And Vine Lash is very valuable. The Rangers are a class that you very often will use spells and abilities, excuse me, that are not necessarily right in line with the most up-to-date spell set that you have for the latest X pack. If you're up at the top levels, right? Vine Lash is level 98, and Fluster and Bluster Bolt that's 85, that's 90. I'm 126 currently on my Ranger, and those three spells I just highlighted will never leave my spell bar ever, even in groups. There's a lot of ways you can use those spells to your advantage when you're trying to pull single, maybe for a group. There's a lot of ways you can kind of manipulate things. Another thing that's always nice to have, I'll go over my macros. It's been a while since I've gone over the macros. I don't consider my Ranger my main really anymore, although they're a very, very fun class to play. If you just like doing stuff like this, chilling. If you like being heralded as a really strong DPS in a group or raid. If you're in a raid and really even in groups, you're going to die a little bit more. Let me shrink Elwood here for a second. I don't like him being that tall. I don't like it when he's taller than me. Where's my shrink ring? There it is. There we go. Really kind of cool thing about Elwood here. I am a Ranger. I use a bow. And as you can see, my healer Merc, he's got a bow too, a little otter bow there. He never uses it, but he likes to hold it for good luck, I guess. I don't know. He's a healer Merc. I just thought that was kind of cool, so that's why I always use that Merc when I'm on my Ranger. I just think it's thematic. I was going to go over my macros when all right. Let us go through these here a bit. As soon as I get this guy going here. Before I do the macros, I'll do my spell line. You already know what these three do. Okay, this gives a bonus to bow damage, archery damage. It's important. There's a difference between physical damage and archery damage when it comes to your skills and various little tricky things you can do, right? To boost your damage and whatnot. Get out of here. All right. I'm just going to sit for a second while I go through these. So this this right here is level 126, but it gives you some bonus 40% more damage to archery attacks. This right here is 125. It's standard, and you see it does it does 4 archery attacks. It has to be archery attacks for you to get some of the bonuses, right? So for you to get this bonus, 40% bonus, this will increase the damage of these attacks because it's archery attacks. Now the archery attacks technically are physical damage, but because the ranger class is a bit unique and that relies a lot on archery stuff. When you as a ranger, you got 2 options for doing DPS. Okay, it can be up close and personal, dual wielding, blah blah blah, blah, hitting just like a rogue does or whatever, without the backstab, or you can be at a distance and use archery damage. And actually, there's a third way that archery damage is really kind of cool that not everybody does, because nobody sees a ranger as much of a tank anymore, and we are not. Don't let it fool you. You are not a tank, but at least in the group game, you can be an off tank. I'll cover that later. But anyway, this spell here, and the really high speed rangers, I'm sure might be able to even be off tanks in raids if they got the best of the best gear and all that kind of stuff. I never really worry about that, but this is a game. I do it for fun. I don't want to make it a job. And this right here looks like it has an arrow thing. This is actually and sort of a nuke. This is a magical arrow, and if you see in the description here, nowhere does it say it's doing archery damage. Okay, and it gives a flat amount, right, of the damage right here, versus this spell, it's more of an archery attack or archery damage that does a base damage of this. Okay, these are the kind of spells that will be boosted by some of your passive things and active things that boost the archery damage that you do. This will not. With that said, this is a nice and fairly cheap sort of a medium-sized nuke that you can do that will do extra damage, I think, to humanoid targets, right? Yeah. Animal or humanoid targets, right? This one. So it's kind of thematic too, so I keep that on my spell bar. This right here is the progressive spell, which I did not get the rank 126 for this. Doggone it. I gotta go get that son of a gun. Ugh. Forgot. Anyway, this one's out of date for my level, but yeah, it does this and this. It gives 2 deadly arrows. Okay, it says deadly arrow, but it is archery. I know it's archery because I've headshot with this before. With a base damage of like a huge base damage, right? And it lowers the hatred for you. So that helps offset stuff, the aggro from the damage, basically, extra aggro you might get for it. This is my lull type line of spells that I always keep one on my spell line here. Do I have another? All right, evidently I was experimenting with 2 different types of combat lines. They were using more dots than, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what I was thinking. I get bored sometimes. I just mess around with stuff. If you haven't noticed in my other videos, I'm always changing stuff around a little bit on my shaman and my mage. Sometimes it's not a whole lot you can do with mage, but my shaman, I'm always monkeying around with the stuff I'm doing on them. Partly because the class is I'm still trying to perfect the way I play my shaman a bit for different situations and stuff like that. But I got a long ways to go, but I love that class. I never thought I'd find a class that I liked as much as my ranger. I like it more than my necro, and I like my mage more than my necro. That's why I've switched from necro to mage, basically, for my solo sort of pet class type character. And these right here are some heals. desperate quenching. This is the super fast heal, the half a second cast that is big, but it's got a long cooldown. It has a lot of the druid heals I've heard has long cooldowns too. This one right here is spammable, but it's a slower cast, and frankly, it's okay to use, but I have it in my heal macro. But I mainly, if I'm trying to kill a rare on my own, well, I don't know. It kind of depends on the group a bit. Sometimes you want to assist the healer, but usually one spot big heal is all it's really need to kind of get the group healer back on track, and they're okay. It depends. Everything's situational. If you get a lot of mobs, you don't have an enchanter, there's all kinds of things that can happen. This right here is great. Enrichment, and this we finally got an upgrade to it. I think we were using level 100 for it. I don't know what it was. Anyway, this helps with skills. Increases the base damage. You can read it. It's a buff you always want to have on. Oddly enough, you cannot mass group buff this one, even though it's a group buff. It's weird. But this one you can. And this one is what a lot of people, sort of a Rangers Unity type buff that we put out a bunch of different things for the group, These will not override the personal stuff that you put on from your personal Unity. But it's all the groups like it, and so that's good. Boosts DPS, a little bit of hit points, so it's various crap. This right here, oddly enough, we had a really good ranger in our guild that got, at least the guy that was really good at ranger, pretty good. And he was even when I first came over to the server, he was unaware of this spell even existing. And this has been a staple line of spells that I've always put on my ranger because we're not very durable, and it gives you a 15% damage absorption of incoming damage. It makes you a little bit more tanky, man. And 15%, that's more than you combine that with this cleric buff you get, which gives you 10%. Evidently, because this is on here, it stacks. So right here, between those two, you get 10% for this and another 15 for that. It's like 25% more absorption, kind of, of the melee damage there. That's kind of cool. Plus, when they strike you, when they hit you, this gives some debuffs on them for some fire resistance. Armor class isn't much. It's mainly attack strength by 134, and I think it means lowers the attack by 134 and strength by 214. So maybe, I don't know, they got to reword that. Who writes their stuff for them anyway? This is on a pitch count, though. You see a little number on here, 96. If you're meleeing and getting hit a lot, you're going to have to recast that. That's why I keep it into my standard bar all the time in case I have to recast it, because it has limited time, so it'll be active 96 times, right? So you're gonna, it's not just the amount of time that it has, like a minute or an hour or whatever, but it can go way earlier than that. So I got it on my bar. Okay, these you're familiar with my other tunes. I'm not going to go through that. This right here is not very reliable, but if you want to give it a shot, you can try. This is an instant cast ability fade. You can only use every 10 minutes, but usually with me, I'm firing arrows. I'm not up at close unless I really have to. So you have to allow for the flight of the arrow in the air. Because if you hit this, if you've shot arrows and they're in the air and you just hit this with the regular button, you're going to hit that, you're going to lose aggro, then the arrow's going to hit the mob, and then it's just going to come right after you. You're going to get the aggro right back. So you have to allow for the arrow flight in the air, and that is dependent upon how far away you are from the mob, so you have to make sure it's enough, and you have to make sure you turn auto fire off, as well as if you're in melee range. Just in case I put that on there, but it's a thing, and I don't like using it. I very rarely even have to use it, but it's there in case I want to try. the problem is you never quite, like I said, it's the distance, right? So I've paused 20, which is a solid 2 seconds. Sometimes I'm shooting stuff that's pretty darn far away, and that's not quite enough. But you see, if you add more time on there, then you're waiting. If I was to put 30, have it for 3 seconds, then that's a pretty good long time. And for example, if a rare mob that sees through invisibility is part of the equation, that mob's going to be on you before this goes off, even if you've stopped attacking. And as soon as you hit this, it'll drop aggro momentarily, but then it'll see you and re-aggro right back on you. So this is always a pain in the rump. Some people try to combine this with Glade Leap, which is like a leap forward you can do to give you some extra distance in case something sees through invis. But that can be dangerous if there are cliffs and things like that around. Even with Lev, sometimes that's not, Lev isn't enabled in every zone, and this is very tricky to use. It's just very tricky, and I have it because I have it on there, but I don't like using it. Here's the useful stuff. Here's the snare. This is what I have on there. For the snare, I got to take that Bane thing off there. I think I have all the stuff for that. X-Pack, yeah, I got that. And I already have a better mount buff. No, I don't. But I got the most current mount buff I can get. It's heirloom, so I can get that. I don't think I want to go back to the X-Pack. And if I do, with me, the way I play my Ranger mana is not a big issue. So, and there's a damage bonus with that too, a bit. Whatever. By the time, if I have to go back there, everybody's going to be over leveled for it anyway. So the R8 Bane's not going to be that big of an issue. You're probably going to be making up the percentage damage difference that this gave you just by having 5 or 10 levels higher than whoever you're trying to help out that's going through that X-Pack. So this is the auto fire thing. Auto fire, I just have it there. It turns it on, but if you hit it again, it'll turn it off. Sort of a manual, just stop attacking if you're from range. You have to hit it again if you're going to do that, though. And these are the other things. These are the names of Guardian of the Forest, Outrider's Accuracy. You can slow it down. Pause the video if you need. Right here, the reason I have a bolt, then this is a root, an AA root that's really strong, super hard to resist as long as they're not immune to root, and lasts for a minute. It lasts the full duration many, many times. It's pretty, I would say 70-75% of the time it lasts the full duration, which in this game is a pretty dependable route. So that's Blusterbolt is the higher level. It's the level 91. So that's a slightly stronger route, and it shoves them backwards and it clears their aggro. So it'll cast that, and then if the AA route's up, it'll cast that, and it'll save this for another time. If this is down, it'll hit that. If that's up, it'll cast this, and then after that, it'll also cast this. Because these, if you didn't notice, there's no mana, and they're instant. Both of them are instant, and there's no mana. So kind of crazy. You can really punt something, bam, bam, really far away. And I try to keep in mind, keep a close attention to the AA route right here, this one right here. Keep my eyes down here. I should probably put it up here too. Let's do that actually. Put a subtle kick there. That way, no matter where I'm looking, here or here, I'll know it's when it's up. Anyway, try to pay attention to when this is up. And this right here is just a funny thing I say when I'm punting something away, just for the group. It's kind of funny. And this is this spell here. Vine Lash is awesome. It's a cone in front of you for a pretty good while, a good long distance. You can use it in conjunction. You can vine lash stuff, and then when stuff comes, if something is immune, like say a rare is immune, this will vine lash everything around it. It's a good way to separate things off. And by the time the vine lash fades away, they're automatically snared, and the ads will start coming. But you have time if you're in a group, the group's taking care of the rare mob, and then you can make sure to bluster bolt to punt away the extra mobs that are around. It's very useful. There's lots of different ways you can use these to sort of control the battlefield, as long as they're not immune to root. that's the thing. My shots, I'll use this. I'll spam this key as well as my 6th key if I'm in melee range and I have to either tank or I'm doing melee DPS. And here's the thing about the arrow damage, right? Arrow damage, archery damage for rangers. If something is being tanked by a player or a combat pet, the damage is doubled. Just the regular damage is doubled. And if you crit, it'll double the double, meaning 4 times the base damage. And on top of that, if it's a humanoid that is headshotable, it'll do that to the headshot as well. Which means you are a crazy offensive sort of off tank. Okay? I typically go with a one-hander and a shield. The shield gives me a few extra stats. I gave some augs to a different character of mine to make sure they had the best augs possible, so I'm down in my dex just a little bit. My heroic dexterity is just like 35 below the 4,000, which is recommended for dex on rangers. And dex is really all you really care about as a ranger. If you expect to be off tanking a lot, you might want to pay attention to agility once you get the 4K up on dexterity, but your mitigation is never going to be that great. So I would just focus on agility. As you can see, mine's up there a bit, but it's, to each his own on the stats. But I'll give an example of me tanking one of these guys. I'm only at 126. The top level for this X-Pack was 125, so I'm not super over leveled for this area. That's why I'm in here getting XP, just headshotting stuff. Let me go through these. This right here, oops. Okay, so these right here, I do the first 2 arrow spells here. Plus I got my kick in here too, as well as a swarm. Where's the swarm at? Here it is. Spell right here is the only dot I use, unless the special dot line probably use my big dot. But this right here is really good to cast when you're in a group and you have a tank, or if you're tanking, anybody's tanking. It gives a minor dot to the mob, but it also gives a 3-minute, very powerful damage over time to the target of the target, which is usually either going to be you or the tank, hopefully, if things go according to plan. And this is the heals. I did my chest clicky here. I'm not even sure what it does right now exactly. Nature's Fury. It deals extra damage. It's a lot of extra damage. Ranged attacks or melee. So there you go. Does that for the heals. And I got Pack Hunt in there for my little puppies that I can come out. The A swarm pets. Harm Arrow. Harmonious Arrow is something I like to use to try to split mobs. It's more, I don't know, maybe I just know how to use it better than some, or most even, but I find it pretty darn reliable. As long as you make sure you have the effect, the lull effect isn't blocked by a line of sight on the mobs around. I think that's why some people don't like it, because they aren't paying attention to the line of sight in the area. If you got a lot of trees or there's some buildings around or something, you just have to, and the way this game is, it'll count the wall in a building as, you know, obstructions of line of sight, but the mobs will still aggro through walls sometimes, even in the later X packs. They're the people that develop EverQuest are really nice like that, in an aggravating, irritating way. But anyway, I still like it. And you can see the thing I put in there. Hold my beer. I'm going to pull whatever the target is, single, trust me. And if it screws up, it's just a big joke and the ranger dies. It's just funny. Defense, these are the things I use for my defense. I use the dragon glyph. Do I have it up? Yeah, I do right here. So these help me tank when I'm really getting beat up a lot. The DPS, group guarding of the forest is for the group. Spire of the Path of Spires, everybody loves the Ranger Spires. Pure Shy Discipline is awesome. Range DPS. Auspice, everybody loves Auspice. And Cheetah Fang. Cheetah Fang, if I hit this once, will not be activated. You have to hit it a second time for Cheetah Fang. So in a way, I got 2 levels of DPS. You know, the first, when I hit it once, it's going to boost DPS for everybody a lot. Hit it a second time, that's going to really help the casters a lot. They'll go out of mana pretty quick, but they will do some massive damage also. So it's situational how many times I press it. I'll press it once if it's, you know, we're just doing Hunter or something. We just do regular rares. But if I was in a raid or a really tough mission, yeah, I'd hit it twice if we really need a lot of help for a current mission or something. Invis, I always have the camo is instant, so the tracking either puts it up or it refreshes it. It's auto refreshing, auto updating, but I just like to always have tracking up all the time whenever I can. So, and I have a habit of invising a lot. I just invis compulsively. And on my sit, I just sit down, I forge, and I scarf it all up. Rangers forge super well, especially Wood Elf Rangers. And I'll sit, blah, blah, blah. There you go, 3 things. And with the luck thing now, you can even forge I could even forge a 4th thing sometimes. I have to hit it again to auto bank it, so I just do that if I need to auto bank it, you know. Anyway. Those are the macros. This is my mount. Oh yeah, here's my mount. I have a different mount here. What did I do that for? I haven't been playing. I haven't played this guy in a while, so the setup I have for him is coming back to me. This is the familiar. These right here are the Unity buff. Unity buff. This one here it gives you a weapon proc that's better for tanking or not getting hit, but it does damage whether it's your range or melee attack. But it'll I'll hit it here. Windstalker's Unity, see? And it gives a melee buff here that will make you invulnerable, thunderclap, parry all incoming attacks for 6 seconds. It's extended. I think it's up to 18 seconds, something like that. It's a little longer than that. So 15 to 18 seconds, something like that. It's kind of nice. Again, it's another thing that gives you a little durability in tank mode without making you as good as, say, a paladin or a range or you know, the real tanks. But it helps. But it also does damage, even when you're headshotting, say. And you're relying on root when you're headshotting to keep your distance most of the time. So I always turn it off when I'm headshotting. Just what I do. And so I hit that for a buff. And this right here is the familiar, to get the familiar buff. I have it automatically going away because I don't like to have, if I don't want a pet that's just going to be there for cosmetic reasons anyway. It's just gets in my way. And this gives a lot of little bonus damage here and some mana endurance. All that stuff is kind of nice. This right here, I keep it on this all the time. And this is a proc that will consume some mana, but it does an extra 80k damage, which is super nice. The flaming arrows I'll put on. Sometimes I will prefer to do this because it will do some extra damage also. Incidentally, this archery damage, or this damage it does, you notice it does flat damage. It doesn't say it does an archery attack of this base damage. So it's really a nuke. This one right here will stun a target though sometimes. And sometimes I'll prefer to use this when I'm headshotting, which I'll just use it now. This is the mount buff. This is the Jan's Veil buff, if you're not familiar with that. That's what it is. It's pretty good. Make sure you get that as soon as you can. It's in an older X pack and it's still relevant today. Get it and enjoy. And that's it. The rest of these are, various just ranger type buffs that help with all kinds of things. Damage coat, all that stuff it's in your spell line. You can look yours up yourself. That's the name. Oh, that's just hard to read. Screw that. And these are just reminders of what's up and what's down, depending on what buttons I push here for the various AA abilities and whatnot, and glyph or whatever. But sometimes, some buffs that I do, AA buffs, they're so frequent. They come every 5 minutes or less. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to use them all the time. The cooldowns are not that long. So these are some shorter ones that I just have on all the time. Whenever they're up, as soon as I start firing my bow, they're going to come on. And they will help me, but some of them will, actually, they'll just help me there, that one. But, there we go. So I'm going to headshot something, and then I'm going to tank something so you can see what it looks like. All right. And here we go. Typically what I'll do, I'll just start firing. And I like the snare stuff. And I'll hit number 3, which is the bluster. And as you can see, it is rooted with that. The reason I took the weapon damage off for the I also hit these 2 shots just once to give a little extra damage there. Sometimes it'll headshot them like right away. That took maybe 30 seconds, something like that. I'm not that over leveled for this stuff. It was pretty much the same way when I was 125, just doing this for AAXP then, right? Okay, now I'm gonna get something. Let me get something over here. I'm gonna do him, and let's see if I have to split him. No, I don't. All right, I'm gonna tank this guy, and hopefully I get a few headshots when I tank this guy. I'm on shield. Whoops, wrong one. Now you see my health. I'm 126. This is a blue, and it gets a little scary sometimes. Crap. You know what I should do? I should put my other Unity buff on so you can see the effect of the weapon proc. Okay, that was pretty fast for just using my one-hander, right? Let me use my tank buffs here. All right, it's up again. It's going to add that weapon proc. I'm going to tank one more. It's right here. You'll see the thunderclap proc, hopefully. I have a pretty fast weapon here. This came from a special event that comes once a year, COM Heroic. And the delay is only 21. The damage is a little lower, and it's got a lot of vampiric draw, but the reason I like it, it's got a weird, it's Ranger and something else, Bard or something, I don't know. It's a weird class limitation. It says Ranger here because of Ranger only. Is it only Ranger only now? It might be because of this augmentation I have in it. What other? I'm not going to worry about that. Anyway, bottom line is the agility or the dexterity that's on it is 63 for a 125 one-handed weapon. That's a lot of dexterity on a one-handed weapon. And it gives a lot of strength too, I guess. So there's that. But it helps with my dexterity heroic stats here by using that. All right. Pull this guy in. Hopefully won't headshot him too much. And I'm going to tank this guy. And I will try to point out. There we go. There you go, right here. This right here, thunderclap. I'm basically sort of invulnerable to melee in front of me. This weapon's a fast weapon. It's a very fast one-handed weapon. And hopefully, there's something else here. And this is my synergy here that goes with my kick. As you can tell with my health, I'm a little more stable than I was. Come on, thunderclap. You're going to clap again on me here? Come on. Give me a thunderclap. All right. Did it? No, something else. So it didn't thunderclap again. Big whoop. All right. Anyway, but as you can tell, I'm just soloing. It was a blue and it was a trash mob, yes, but that's a fairly quick tank job on a trash mob. It's my experience with my Shadow Knight on trash mobs in his level. They die slower, much slower than that. But with that said, Shadow Knights obviously are much more durable because they are a true tank class, so there's always that. So I took the weapon proc off because that damage that happens, well, I broke root that time. We'll break root more often. Now the reason I used Vine Lash there is because his memory got wiped. That little red thing that went on top that went down on his head, it wiped all memory of everything. His heals, my attacks, everybody in whatever group you're in, once Fluster or Bluster, once the mem wipe for that goes off, after when you cast it and they get rooted, and 6 seconds later, boom, that comes down. It will wipe everything, not just for you. Which is an important distinction because other classes that pull stuff, special abilities they have, like say FD or something, it'll wipe their aggro. But as anybody that's ever played an FD class with in a group, sometimes you'll get somebody will jump the gun a little bit when they don't realize you're pulling, and they will get on the hate list momentarily before UFD. And so UFD, and guess what the mob's going to do? It's going to go after the other person in the group that either attacked or did something too early and made the mob mad. This AA root is very strong. It's I was unluckily not okay. I had to root it again, but I'm just saying. Just trust me, it's a lot stronger. It's the strongest root that you have, and its downtime is I think 30 seconds, maybe even less. It's up, it's up a lot. So there you go. That's me chilling and killing on my Wayleaf here. I did a little preview here. I'm going to keep chilling and killing. I don't want to make the video file too big for me to upload for it to take all day. So there you go. It's Wayleaf the Ranger. Wayleaf has a Shadow Knight persona. It's 120 right now. But just, felt like goofing around in my Ranger a little bit, getting some XP on him. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing what feels good and what's fun to me. So to me, that's what EverQuest is. So there we are. Rock on. Have a great day. And hope this helps somebody, or maybe explained a few things and how the funky Ranger rules, what some of it does. It's a mystery to some people, and I hope I gained somebody a little bit of clarity on how archery works and the various buffs work with the Ranger class. Let me know in the comments if you want me to go more in depth as far as how that kind of goes. I know it pretty well. I feel confident with that. With that said, I'm sure there's some people that probably know more than me, and you can correct me if I say something wrong. Correct me also. And there you go. I'll try not to argue with you. I will try my best, and if I do, I'll do it nicely. Have a good day.